inputs, any command that will write will use both console and R script. And in most cases, we'll write the command in R script, we'll run them, but in some cases, we'll move to console and write command and run in console. Anyway, all command, whatever we are writing and executing through R script, will be executed through console only. So, just to recap, uh, we have, this is how we load our script. You have to go to file. There are a number of buttons. So use new file and click R script. So R script will appear. Uh, how to input data? This is what we did in the last class. Suppose I have a variable X that has values. Uh, sorry, that has values. Some values. 1, 2, sorry, 12, 2, 34, 5, 6. How do you execute? You either keep your cursor in the end or in the beginning, or select the line and hit run button. So this is executing the reading the values in a variable X. This is how it is executed in console. And you can see X in your environment. Now R is ready to read X, and it can work with any operation with X. X is what? It is a numeric which has 5 values, 12, 2, 34, 5, and 6. Typically X is a vector. I'll discuss about vector in the next videos. The other thing that we did in the last video was we wrote a matrix command, y is equal to matrix, and we had suppose, so this is 5, let us make it 6, 67. So now X has 6 variables. You can see X number 1 to 6, 6 variables. And let's create a vector of matrix of X with 3 row and row equal to 3 and call equal to 2. 3 to the 6. So this is how it is running a matrix Y, which has 3 rows, and how it looks like. If you double click on Y will be viewed in the viewer part of the R script window. Going back to R script, untitled, because we have not given any name to this file. So right now it is untitled. What we also learn hash is a symbol that is used to to comment the command or the line which is written in our script. So largely these are typically command. So the idea is hash, if you're writing hash in the beginning, it is a comment. It means that R will not execute that line. So you can write your whatever in your language, you can write what it is. So for example, here we learn how to input some basic variables in R. So if you again run this, it will not execute in the console. So it is because it is a comment in the command. In the last video, what I have said, suppose you want to remove everything of your environment, how would you remove? There is a brush button. You click over brush button, then it will show whether you want to remove all the variables or not. You say yes, it will remove all. It will simply brush your variable which you have. Now if you want to read X, R will give you error. So now you have to understand, when R will give you error, it will be shown by red color. So you have to understand what is the nature of error. If you are able to understand the nature of error, you will be able to identify the error in the command and you can rectify it. So this is what we have to learn when you will start working with R. We have to learn how do we read this nature of error. So this is how do we input data in R. So the two data that we have added, now I'll call these two data back so that we can see. In order to read them again, I'll select the lines of our script and hit run button. It is executing X and Y variables, and X is the same number with 6 values, Y is a matrix with 3 rows and 2 columns. Through command mode, if you want to remove everything from R, so the last video I've written a command, and that is rm list equal to ls and blank. I'm keeping blank so that it is a part of the syntax, which says if I'm not specifying anything, it says all. Suppose I want to specify X, so I'll simply say X and run this command. Run. Okay, there is an error. So if I want to remove everything, I'll run this. So it is simply removing everything. I'll call them again. Suppose I want to remove a specific variable from my environment. So I'll use the command rm and call that variable. Suppose I want to remove X. So I'll say rm X and hit run button, rmx. It has removed X from my environment. So this is a little basic about how does R works with different variable in environment. In console, if you want to remove the content of the console, to remove the content of the console, what you need to do is you need to have control plus L. Okay, so this is what you say. I'm actually typing control and pressing L, so it has removed everything. Okay, so this is the command. So I'm writing all command by double within putting commands in inverted comma. Sorry. Okay. Now we will be working with some basic tips in R. So now I'll actually share the part of the PPT which has understanding about some basic tips in R. So I'm sharing this PPT. This is the PPT number 5 of the PowerPoint slide that I'll share with you. So sorry, slide number 5 of the PowerPoint. So what we have understood in R, the console, and there is a command prompt in the console. I'll go back to the R environment. I'll show you the command prompt of console. So this is the command prompt. Okay, if it is appearing, it means we are ready to write command on the console. If it is not there, it means your system is busy to do anything and you cannot write a command over it actually. So this is very important part. It has to be there in the console so that we can write command. The next part, sometimes what we do, we write a very incomplete. Sometimes we don't write the complete command. So what happens? I will see this. So suppose I'm writing rm and I want to remove in console. Currently I'm writing in console. I'm writing rm. This is the command, and I want to remove y. But I'm doing a deliberate error. I'm not closing my bracket. When you open a bracket, you have to close a bracket. That's a condition for any programming. But unfortunately, I might have missed in any way. I might have missed. So I forgot to write the closing bracket. If I want to execute this, it is saying plus. It means the command that I have written is not complete. I have to do something to complete my command. You can keep on hitting enter button. It will keep on giving you plus. It means it needs something in order to complete command. And suppose I'm not been able to understand where is an error, I may actually try to put command prompt, but it is, I can make number of command prompt, and then it is saying unexpected command prompt in this command. So the command is not complete. We have done error with the command, so it's showing an error with the command actually. So that's a meaning of plus when it appears over console. I'll go back to the slides here again. And open the PPT. Next important tip is R is case sensitive. So we have to be very careful when we are writing command. It should be typically in most cases we write command on lowercase. Okay, but if we are writing something, we have to be very careful with spellings and capitalizations. R is very sensitive. R is not sensitive to indenting like other programs like Python. They are sensitive to indenting. So that's not an issue in writing commands in R. A third important part with R is, as I said, we will be talking about functions. So very important part in R is function, and function is the very useful component of R. Functions are typically command, and they are always referred by parentheses actually. Okay, so you have to have a function name, then you can give argument in what way you are actually working with the function. You have to give options. You can also give input data. Okay, so function name, parenthesis, then you have input data, argument, how this function works, and options, in what condition the function works actually. Okay, this is very important part in R and one should understand. So I'll go back to the R Studio again and look at how this is understood in the context of R. So I'll remove everything from the console. The command is Control L. Removed everything from the console. Now we have worked with some functions. What are these functions? I'll go to the R script. Sorry, I'll go to R script, and the function with which we have worked are, if you go back, C. The first function is C. Okay, C means, so C is the function which is combining different variables together actually. Okay, so suppose what we have here, X has 6 values. What are 6 values? 12, 2, 34, 5, 6, 67. So what C is doing, C is combining all variables, all values, and putting in a variable X. Okay, so this is the first function actually. Okay, so you want to input more number of values in a particular variable, you can input by this way. So C will always will begin by a parenthesis, then you can enter your number 2, 4, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Okay, so this is the way how the function C works. Now I'll discuss about the other function which we learned in the previous video. The function is matrix. Okay, so matrix is a function that creates a matrix for any data set. Okay, for that you have to have parenthesis, it should give input. So in our case, the input was X, which is a variable, and this X should be arranged in certain orders. So I said you make number of row as 3 and number of column as 6. So these are, sorry, 2. These are the syntax for command or function matrix. So for a command or function matrix, you have to provide your input data and you have to specify how many number of rows you are keeping and how many number of columns you're making actually. That's the second function. Let us look at how this, if you do some error into it, how does this function work? So matrix, currently I don't have X in my environment because I have R has so far not been able to read X because I've removed X by RM command. So I don't have X. So suppose if I call X, I'm sorry, in command prompt and say n row equal to 3 and call equal to 2. Let's look how what happens. So if I do this, it's saying error because error in this command, which is matrix, that has X as input, row has 3 rows, and we want to arrange this input X in form of 3 rows and 2 columns. But the problem is X is not found because there is no X in the environment. So this is showing error actually. So in order to get this, what we have to do, we have to read the X line where we are actually storing the data X, and now X is appearing in my environment. So R now is able to read this X value actually. Okay, so I'll go back to the command. So this is my command. Let me look at output. So it's working because now it is able to read X. So your matrix command is working. Matrix function is working. So command and functions are very synonymous in R. So this is the second important part, second important tip in R. I'll move to the third part, third important tip. Go back to PPT. Now there are some inbuilt function in R and some function we can create. The advantage is we can create our function in R actually. Okay. So this we will be doing in the end of the class. But these inbuilt functions, there are many inbuilt functions which we can use. We can input our data and get our output actually. Next important tip is, I'm sorry, this is not really working. System is not responding. Yeah. So this is what we normally use. We can use up arrow in my computer. The use of up arrow is, I'll go back to get the old command in the console. So I don't have to type again and again. I can simply press up arrow and get the old command, and there is error in the old command, I can rectify it. So this way you can avoid multiple typings, and because otherwise if I'm doing error, possibly I may do error again, may not be same type of error. So up arrow is very important because it can actually give me the old command. So I'll go back to my R environment. Yeah, say my R environment. Now suppose I want to get my RM, because I've just written this RM command. What I'll do, I'll keep pressing my up arrow. So I'm pressing my up arrow. It's showing matrix which I've written just now. Then X, one command, matrix again. Then these are the commands which I've written, and this is what I'm getting by pressing up arrow. So I don't need not to type it again actually. And if I'm entering this, so it's keep making my environment empty. The next command is, as I said, functions are normally referred by parentheses. So we have to differentiate parenthesis and square bracket. Square bracket refers to the element of your data, where the parenthesis refers to the function actually. So anything we are writing before parenthesis, R will read that as function. So as I said, there are inbuilt functions in R. So like I can use one function matrix. So if I type matrix, R will start prompting me how this command works. I have to give input like X or Y and then the arrangement of it. Suppose I say add. Okay, there are there are many things, but suppose I say add. What it is doing, R is reading add as a function because I have typed parenthesis. Okay, so now if I enter it, because add is not an inbuilt function, it is saying error. So there are inbuilt functions. If there are inbuilt functions, it will actually tell you how to work with this. For example, matrix. You type matrix and enter it. It will tell you how this matrix is working actually. Currently, I have not given any value, so it's saying no values. Okay. But if this add is, matrix is an inbuilt function in R, add is not an inbuilt function in R. What we can do, we can create that function which we'll discuss later on, but since it is not there in R, it will not be able to run and it will show you error actually. Okay, so this is the important tip. Then what we have to understand, the symbol this and this means same. Okay, this means equal to in R. I'm sorry, this means equal to R, which is same as equal. Anything on the left hand side, this is all we always have to keep in. This is a kind of important mantra when you work with AR. Anything on the left hand side is what you are assigning. Anything on the right hand side is what it is read in environment. I'll tell you this. If it is not there in environment, it will show error. So we'll go back to the R environment. For the time being, what I'll do, I'll remove everything from my console, Control L. Now I don't have any value right now in my environment. So what I'll do, I'll read these two lines again. So X and Y. So anything on the left, I say Z. Okay. And Z has a value X plus 2. So Z I can assign. I can assign anything on the left hand side. But right hand side variable should be there in the environment. If it is not there in the environment, it will show you error. So let us look at this command. So Z I'm reading. So Z is X plus 2. Okay. So I have actually what I've done, each values of X I've added by 2 and it is stored in a variable Z. Suppose I say Z1 equal to, because I can assign anything on the left hand side. So I say Z1 and I say Z2 plus 5. Since Z2 is not there in environment, this will show you error. Okay, error. Z2 not found because it's not there in the environment. So right hand side variable has to be there in the environment. This is what you have to keep in mind. If the variable is not there in the environment, we can't work with the variable. Actually, that's very important tip in R. The last point of this I have already discussed. Hash symbol is a symbol for making comments. Okay, so I can write as this is the comment. So R will not execute this line. It's not showing any error because it's not really executing it. So hash is very important when you write a long script so that you can describe what you're doing actually.